Hello. Hi. We're continuing near replicant. We're at a weird part. Let's get into it.
Now I can finally return to a normal life.
This is one of the most bizarre diseases I have ever encountered.
I know. That's why we have to help the other villagers, no matter what.
And another victim. This work certainly is trying.
I figured a book like you would be into all this word stuff, Vice.
Even I have my exceptions. Now let's be off.
A colony of massive sculptures was visible in the distance, their tall forms scraping against the sky. Weiss and Sanyo had never seen such a light sight, and their eyes widened as they tried to take it in.
Those buildings must be huge if we can see them from this far away. What do you think, Vice?
As Weiss considered his answer, the sun beat down on them with renewed ferocity.
Perhaps they are some manner of mirage.
He said, under this heat, a mirage or two would have hardly to be an expected sight. Sanyo nodded and wiped the sweat off his brow, leaving a trail of sand in its place. He thought he'd never been so thirsty. The ancient road of which they walked was black and cracked with age. Here and there, thin wisps of grass pushed up through the rocky surface, as if defying those who had laid the material down over their home. The heat reflecting from the road made Sanyo lightheaded, his feet hurting. He crouched down to rest. I don't know how much longer I can do this. Is someone playing a joke on us or what? The complaining had already begun. Weiss tried not to let his eyes roll too much. A joke, he said. No, no joke. This road leads to the city of arts. Art. Perhaps the path itself is simply some manner of grand artistic work. You don't sound very sure of yourself there. Perhaps not, but thinking of it this way might make it easier for you to bear. Sanyo glanced at Weiss's grinning face, shook his head, and resumed walking. As time passed, Sanyo's feet grew more painful, and his throat drier than he thought possible. He tried not to look further than the next step ahead, because the bright sunlight made him hesitant to trust his own senses. We are definitely getting closer, said Weiss, in an effort to cheer his companion. Yes, this much is certain. Encouraged, Sanyo lifted his gaze. Suddenly, he stopped walking, choosing instead to stand in the middle of the road with his mouth and eyes wide open and his finger pointing in the distance. Water, he cried. It's water. Water? Asked Weiss. Preposterous. I don't see any water. Over there, just ahead of us. Look, the sun is reflecting off it. Without waiting for a response, Sonia sprang to life and bounded toward the sight. What in the... There was no water. There was nothing but the sand in every direction. Sanyo closed his eyes and sighed as Weiss floated up behind him and chuckled softly. I believe this is known as a mirage, he said. Many a desert traveler has spoken of such things. Sanyo shook his head, bewildered. Suddenly he pointed off in the distance, his eyes wide once more. Wait, there it is. I just missed it. Look, it's right there. Sanyo sprinted off again, leaving Weiss with no choice but to follow. After a few minutes of running, Sanyo came to a halt. I could have sworn it was right around here. Confused, he put his hands up to his eyes and rubbed them vigorously. As soon as he stopped, he noticed a blue, shimmering pool of clear water just over the next rise. With a shout, he hounded off in search of it. The chase continued for nearly an hour, until an exasperated Weiss finally floated up to Anyo and struck him in the face with his cover. Enough, you blithering idiot. Stop this at once. There is no water here. Sanyo's face clouded. There isn't? There is not, and perhaps next time you will listen to me when I tell you as much. Weiss paused for a moment, then continued speaking in a slightly kinder tone. However, I suppose this mad chase was not altogether wasted. It seems we have arrived in the city of art. Sanyo looked up. Stretched out before him was a row of impossibly tall sculptures. Their journey was at an end. They're huge, cried Sanyo, completely forgetting the hurt and pain of the past few hours. I've never seen anything so big. Each sculpture was formed from roughly the same shape, a tall rectangle that stretched up towards the sky, but that is where the similarities ended. Most were covered with panes of glass that reflected light in 1,000 directions, while others seemed to be nothing but frames of steel. Some had tall spires on their tops, while others possessed triangular caps. What kind of city is this? Said Sanyo. Where are the people? Where are the houses? Perhaps the land is intended exclusively for artistic use. The debate continued as they made their way through the city. Miracles of artistry were everywhere. Great iron crates with wheels sat silent on steel rails. Beautifully carved works with lights of red, amber, and green dangled over every street. As they moved away from the massive sculptures, they found a great array of similar ones. Some were covered in glass or brick, but many were composed of materials they had never before encountered. The sheer variety of colors and styles was staggering. Unable to find a theme or purpose to the abstract works around them, Sanyo and Weiss eventually fell silent. On the outskirts of the city, they discovered 3 sculptures in the shape of humans. Sanyo uttered a sigh of relief as he approached them. Finally, I was getting tired of modern art. The 3 statues were indistinguishable except for a single word chiseled into their arms. One read Alpha, one read Beta, and the final one read Gamma. As Sanyo moved to touch the near statue, a bird flew from the top of one of the sculptures. Aligning on the statue's sculpture, it emitted a brief, beautiful song that took the form of words. Only one form is real, the others are false. The real form will always speak the truth. The false ones will only speak lies. With that, the bird departed. As if on cue, the three statues shuddered to life, acquiring color and form as they began to breathe. "Hey, look at that," said Sanyo. "They're alive." The triplets bowed low before Sanyo. "Please," said Alpha, "you have to get me out of this nightmare. I am real." "Stop lying," said Beta, turned to Sanyo and threw his hands in the air. "Alpha is a fake. You know I'm the real one." "What a load of crap," said Gamma. "Beta is fake. Everyone knows I'm the real one around here." Their respective pleas given, the three statues returned to their frozen saints as silence once again enveloped the city. "When you consider all the statements, only one of them could only be the real thing," said Weiss. "Yeah, the middle one." Sanyo furrowed his eyebrows and considered his answer. "Only one form is real, the others are false. The real form will always speak the truth. The false ones will only speak lies." I wish I remembered which one was the middle one. The real one is Beta. Though Sanyo's voice betrayed a notable lack of confidence, he was relieved to see Weiss nodding at him. "If Alpha were telling the truth," began Weiss in dry tones of lecture, "Beta and Gamma would be fakes. But in that case, Gamma's claim that Beta is fake would be the truth, even though Gamma is a liar. Therefore, the theory crumbles. Now let us presume that Gamma spoke the truth. That makes Alpha and Beta liars. In this situation, however, Beta is calling Alpha a liar, which could have with two statues telling the truth. Finally, let us assume that Beta is telling the truth. If so, Alpha and Gamma's lies would make sense. Therefore, Beta must be real." As Weiss finished the explaining, Alpha and Gamma crumbled soundlessly into dust while Beta sprang to life once more. "Congratulations, villager," said Weiss in a cheerful voice. "The time to awoken has arrived." "Thank you for saving me," cried the villager. He dropped to his knees and bowed his head as low as it could go before an uncomfortable Sanyo pulled him back to his feet. "Why did you have a dream like this?" asked Weiss. "Have you been to a city like this before?" The villager slowly looked around in the bizarre objects and sculptures that dotted the landscape, then shook his head. I don't think so. I mean, it's impossible, right? There's no way I could ever have been to a place like this. But at the same time, I feel like I've seen this before." "Deja vu," muttered Sanyo, "just like the mayor." The vague sense of unease that struck Sanyo during the mayor's dream spread once more through his mind.
That was rough.
I am positive I have seen that place before.
Okay, that's enough. Don't need you getting all weird on me too.
I thought I was a goner there. Thanks for the help. What a strange dream. It almost felt familiar somehow.
Ooh. seconds. Okay.
This person must be dreaming too.
It would appear that way, yes.
Can't say I'm very excited to go back there. That dream world sort of creeps me out.
Perhaps you should spend less time complaining and more time getting on with the mission.
Yeah.
I breathe air scented with death and resist the urge to laugh, for I know it will sound like the words of a madman. How long have I been in this fresh hell? My box, my prison, is tucked beneath a stairway in the long, unused catacombs of some infinite castle. Outside I hear the sounds of a funeral dirge that plays without end. Light has no place here. Wind is a forgotten friend. I pray for death to come, but he forsakes me. Time passes, an eternity slips by in a single tick of the clock. Someone knocks on my prison. Anyone there? I hear an unfamiliar voice say. My savior. I claw at the door of the jail, embedding thick splinters upon my ragged nails. I scream for help. I laugh. I sob. Surely this is a product of my addled mind. Surely it cannot be true. Help me, I cry. For the love of all that's the gods, help me. Impossibly, I hear the sound of a lock being torn out and falling to the floor. As the door slowly creaks open, I have just enough time to see a silver-haired boy in a floating book before the light pours inside. My eyes, accustomed to blackness, explode with pain, and I am forced to turn away. Who are you? I ask, shaking hands covering my face. How have you come to this place? I am Grimoire Weiss, and this is Sanyo. Long have we been searching for you. Now come, stand, we shall awaken from this nightmare together. The one known as Sanyo extends his hand and pulls me from the cell. Though my eyes are slow to adjust to freedom, my ears are as keen as ever, and they recognize those statico sounds of heavy rain. I never thought to hear that again, I whisper. Would that this were not such a terrible storm, said Grimoire Weiss. Look at your feet. I force my eyes open and see water pulling around my ankles and lapping at my shins. There's so much of it. Yes, and more comes each moment as we delay. If we do not make good on our escape, we shall drown in this castle. We know you are weak, but you are our only hope to survive this place. Time, that long-forgotten friend, made itself known again. I nodded my head and swore to save my rescuers, no matter the cost. The castle catacombs are a maze, twisting upon themselves like the endless entrails of a giant. It's a Dark Souls game. I squint down the dim corridors and proceed north. Did the game break? At the end of the corridor, I find a row of 20 gorgeous. Did it just make me wait to feel the weight of North? I find a row of 20 gorgeous canopied beds resting atop a carpet of velvet. All are covered in a thick layer of dust and cobwebs, or was that just a glitch? Searching for the door to the next room, I come upon a shapeless mass of gray matter that has been shoved against the side of the wall, and despite my fever, I think I see the outlines of a door just beyond. When I reach out a finger and touch a piece of the mass, it turns to dust and drifts away on the wind. Realization slowly dawns, and I fall to my knees and weep. Corpses. I face a mountain of charred and crumbling corpses. I look from it to the bed's back again until the horror dawns upon me. Someone has piled these bodies into a tower and set them ablaze. Whether they were alive or dead, I do not know, and sanity will not permit me to consider the proposition further. I make a sound, whether scream or laughter, I cannot be certain. Then my giant mind grants me merciful blackness, and I find myself opening the door and leaving the most terrible of rooms. I squint down and the dim corridors proceed east. Proceed north. At the end of the path, the water rises to my waist, exhausting me both physically and spiritually. I pray this is the way out. Eventually I can stand the sight of the waters no longer, and so turn to my eyes upward. I see, I was meant to make a choice, that's why I didn't confirm until... So if that bottom thing makes sense. I imagine my surprise when I see a series of paintings hanging on the faded plastered wall. Each depicts a person in the prime of their life, clad in clothing of the highest quality. The styles, however, are strange to me, leading me to believe that these people had lived long, long ago. One subject wears an outfit that particularly catches my eye. It is constructed of a thin, breezy cloth and decorated with a motif of flowers and birds, while encircling the figure's waist is a leather belt of the most perfect construction. It is a stunning costume even by modern standards. As I gaze at the portrait, I am struck by a desire to touch it with my own hands. Yet as I extend a single finger to the painting, I am gripped by a most unpleasant feeling. Staring closely at the image, I see it bend and warp into the shape of another figure. Something behind the picture is pointing at me. Is it another prisoner, a fellow inmate trapped for eternity in this place? I cannot let it pass, and so I seize the portrait in both hands and throw it into the water. The wall is hollow behind the painting, and inside I can just make out a body. Whether or not this is a prisoner, there would be no rescue. The poor soul is long dead. Scraps of clothing lie on the floor around the bones. Only a small amount of fabric has survived, but it features the same delicate designs that were depicted in the portrait. I have been admiring a row of corpses, blocked from view by portraits of each victim of the pinnacle. Enough shielding my eyes, I paddled forward through the water. I squinted down the dim corridors and proceeded south. North would bring me back there. So west. No, east. At the end of this path, I found myself in a great hall with only the sounds of rain for comfort. The water-god red carpet swishes beneath my feet as it approaches the center of the room. One there, I behold a beautiful dining table which rests china and silver of the finest construction, as well as the remains of a fantastic feast. As my eyes continue to adjust, I see my chairs surrounding the table, each holding a dinner guest. Noticing movement, I approach the chair at the table's end, but as the truth of the matter dawns on me, I recall in horror. The host of the feast is a corpse, as are all the invited guests. An army of foul, ringed insects have made homes in their remains, and this is the movement I saw. This once splendid feast was now nothing more than a requiem for the damned. I take a moment to steady my shaking hands and slowly back away from the table. Desperate to lose sight of the abominations before me, my gaze lands on chairs upon which the dead were seated. This is a mistake, for the chairs proved to be even more terrible than the feast itself. Each one is covered in a layer of spikes that run from the seat up the back and down the arms. This explains the color of the carpet beneath my feet. I can only pray that the unfortunate diners were dead when the meal began. For if not, it is a simple task to envision the agonized screams they must have sprung forth from their mouths. My mind grasped frantically at the possibility that these souls had committed some terrible crime for which this was punishment. Though in truth I suspected they had committed no crime at all. There would be no tomorrow for these unfortunates. This was their last supper. Against all hope, we make it to the front door. Break it down, someone cries, so I give it myself to the effort. In tandem with Sun Neo and Grimoire Rice, I slam my body against the thick, sturdy door. On the third try, it gives way, and we find ourselves sprawled on the ground outside the castle. The storm is in retreat. The clouds above are still dark and foreboding, but to the west I can see a thin shimmer of sunlight trying to break through. How can I thank you? I cry as tears join the rain on my cheeks. I would surely have died in there. Looking down, I suddenly notice that my dress is in tatters and sheepishly try to cover my exposed skin. Your dress? Asked Weiss. Then you are a woman, madame. I am. I prefer thee to a smile. I suppose that comes as nothing as does surprise, seeing as how I exist only in the form of words. I can see that this one knows, as Sanyo, that the one known as Sanyo is disappointed that the torn dress will be given no further description, but he hides it well, with a nod and a shrug, and the three set forth to our awakening. But behind us, an awakening of another kind is taking place. Black smoke fills the abandoned castle, providing the countless damned souls inside their final shroud. After a moment, the castle windows shatter with a mighty roar. A fresh breeze blows through the hallways and corridors, clearing the smoke away for good. As we watch in awe, uncountable black shrouds slowly flicker to life, crossing to and fro in front of the broken windows. The castle's dead have awakened in their new life as shades. Are shades the souls of the departed?
You have anything to say about that?
Hopefully there will be no labyrinth next time.
I hear that. Okay, there. Now all the villagers can wake up, right?
Yes, if the mayor's assumption was correct. I think I have had enough wordplay to last a lifetime. Thank you very much.
You're telling me. Anyway, let's go see the mayor.
Thank you so much for saving me. I never want to have a dream like that again.
Wow. I gotta give it to Nier. I haven't felt like that playing a video game in a minute. It's unique.
Oh, how wonderful. Thank you so much. Here, I have something for you.
Wow, this looks valuable. I can really have it?
Of course. It's apparently a weapon of some renown, but we have little use for it.
Well, we appreciate it.
Thank you again for everything.
I simply cannot bear another of these infernal conversations. Let us save it for another time.
What? Ah, hello again. You know, I've been trying to figure out a way to thank you for saving me, and I think I've got it. We're going to put up a statue of you. It will be 10 feet high and made of pure gold. Oh, and I know you don't own a horse, but I think we'll put you on one anyway. Wait, horses just make people look heroic, you know? How's that? You don't want a statue? Oh, I thought you'd really enjoy it. Regardless, thank you to your tireless efforts. Our village is at peace once more, and at peace. That's a little agricultural joke right there. Anyway, I've been thinking about other things besides bad jokes and statues. I've also decided that we need to start holding the village festival again. We used to have it every year, but the last mayor thought it was old-fashioned or something he killed it. And he killed it. But since I'm the mayor, I can start it up again. That's not abusing my power or anything, is it? What's that? You want to hear about the festival? Well, the official name of it is the Feast of the 3 Days. We call it that because everyone sits around a huge table and eats for 3 days straight. No sleeping allowed. Oh, and we hold it on the foggiest days of the year, so it's hard to tell what you're eating. Some of the dishes are delicious, but some are really rare and, well, there's some weird stuff in them. Let's leave it at that. Anyway, you'd be pretty surprised what you can eat when you haven't slept for a couple of days. I'll make sure that a room is prepared for you so you can be the guest of on. What? You can't come? You have to wash your hair. Oh, alright. Well, I guess that's understandable. What's with the adventuring and all? Truthfully, I think this town needs more group bonding activities like that. It'll help us get to know each other and also promote unity in times of crisis and so forth. Weiss coughed loudly. How much longer must we bear this insufferable flapping of the fool's gums? He whispered to Saniel. Let him talk. He just woke up. He probably has a lot he wants to say. Weiss sighed. This must be what Pepball meant by bright and talkative.
I simply cannot bear another of these I simply cannot bear.
Oh, it's you. Can I talk to you for a minute? Here, over here. These are my neighbors. I was just telling them about the dream I had. You know, the one you rescued me from? They don't believe me. They say I'm making the whole thing up. who could invent something like that? I remember the darkness. I remember the screams. Listen, you have to go back up here. They think I'm crazy. They need to understand. Tell them how you pulled me out of that cell and there was water everywhere and how I was rising so quickly. Part of me was convinced you had rescued me only to let me drown, you know? I don't want to drown. People talk about how it's peaceful, but I think they're lying. And tell them about the bodies. The bodies, oh gods, there were so many of them. There was the room with the beds and the corpses like pieces of charcoal. I keep thinking about the fire and how hot it must have been. But then I don't want to remember it anymore, so I think about the wine. Only it wasn't wine, it was blood, and it was still warm. Sometimes I can still smell it. I'll be eating a piece of pie or something, and all I can smell is that warm blood mixing with the rising water. It's hard to eat now. When I see a table, I think about the feast and the guests, and how the carpet squished beneath my feet when I walked. I don't know, it's weird. The pictures are maybe the worst. I keep wondering if they knew they were going to die, and how they could still knowing that each stroke of the brush is a step closer to death. I think about that stuff like a lot now, actually. I have a hard time thinking about anything else. I don't sleep much. Sleep is hard. I see such terrible things when I close my eyes. Anyway, I was hoping you could tell my neighbors so they'd... Where did they go? They left a while ago, said Sanyo quietly. Doubtless they find you dream a bit disturbing, said Weiss. Perhaps you can find something else to talk about with them, such as the weather or kittens. The villager smiled softly at Sanyo, but the smile soon faded from her face as the two of them slowly backed away. They could see tears beginning to fall from the corners of her eyes. Oh.
I simply cannot bear it.
That's really sad.
I simply...
Secret dialogue. Oh, hey, it's you, the guy who saved me from that crazy city. It's great to talk to you again. You're my hero, you know that? Oh, come on, don't be shy. It's alright. The mayor even said we're going to build you a statue and everything. I hear you've been traveling the world. Good for you. Travel is the key to happiness, you know? Getting out in the world, meeting your fellow humans face to face. It really changes the way you see things. I think change like that will be vital in the new world that's coming. How's me? That? Me? No, I've never traveled, never left this village to tell you the truth. Still, I'd like to get out someday. I think our world is dying. Seriously, think about it. Think about it. You've got the black scrawl, the shades, the mysterious illness like the death dream. It's like something is trying to give us a warning. In fact, I'm sure this is a warning. We need to change our ways before it's too late. I like to help change the world, but I am just a simple villager. Not like you guys. You're on the front lines of everything, rushing in with swords and magic spells and stuff like that. Hey, I know. Maybe we can join forces and change the world together. I mean, with your experience and talent and my, well, whatever I have. Anyway, I think we could really make a difference. This world needs a leader, someone who can unite the people in common purpose. You'd probably have to be kind of tough, too. I mean, this isn't a world that appreciates calm discussion, you know? He'd also need to be smart and have the ability to look down on the road and think about what's best for the future. I bet you'd be perfect. What do you say? Huh? You think I should do it? Oh no, that's not... I mean, thanks and everything, but no thanks. I'm not a public limelight kind of guy. I'd rather hang around the background and help from there. You know, like an advisor or a puppeteer or whatever they're called. Actually, I think I'd be pretty good at that. Sanyo and Weiss left before the villager could hand them a copy of his pamphlet, 10 Simple Ways to Save the World. As they walked, Weiss pondered openly about the man. I suppose he is what they call an armchair general.
I simply cannot bear it.
Alright, 2 seconds. Okay.
So how was the village?
Oh, it was truly magnificent. There are no words. Really.
Neat.
Let's get back to Popola. She'll probably want to know what's going on in there.
I can't even get over that outfit. Alright.
Doesn't look like I have any work for you right now. We should play a game together sometime too. death dream certainly is a strange illness.
Yeah, it was something all right.
Even I, with my natural love for words, have no desire to visit that place ever again.
You guys did well. You've been making a lot of long trips lately. Are you sure you're not pushing yourself too hard?
I'm okay. I can't just sit around all day while Yona's sick, after all.
If you say so.
So, anything I can do for you?
Well, I suppose there is one thing I could use a hand with. Have you heard about our plans to repair the canal? The work probably won't happen for a while, but once it's done, we can use the canal for trade and travel and all kinds of useful things. Unfortunately, however, we're a bit behind schedule at the moment. If you're willing to help out, I'd really appreciate it.
No problem. What do you need?
Great. So, the man I originally asked to help on this project hasn't shown up for work in a few days. I'm starting to get a little worried, so maybe you can head over to Seafront and check up on him? I'll mark the location of his house on your map. He always carries a red bag over his shoulder, so he should be easy enough to find.
Got it.
The person I asked to help with the canal...
A canal, is it? Fascinating. If we had a ferry, we could put these days of endlessly running about behind us.
Don't you just float everywhere anyway?
Do you think I am borne aloft by the winds, lad? It takes stamina to maintain this height.
Oh, really?
You could at least try to hide the utter dismay, you know.
Don't worry about me. I'll be right here and not get into any trouble. I'll even drink the medicine Popola made, even though it's really gross. Just come back for me, okay?
couple side quests I want to finish. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Appreciate you. Peace.